right, Katie, pick a number 1 through 8.
5.
5? All right. A new kind of superhero. Welcome to Happy Suffer. Parentheses, UK poster.
Okay, great.
All right. That's one of the 8 taglines.
All right.
I hope the UK poster actually says parentheses UK poster on.
I hope it does too. Not as good as criminals. Beware of the toxic Avenger. He will kick your butt hard. Exclamation points.
Terrifying.
This is episode 316 of Happy Suffer. I'm Cigar Face.
Fuck. I don't remember any characters' names. I'm the Mop.
Oh. I'm
Mayor Pete Belgoody.
absolutely not. I was gonna say Slug, but he sucks. I'm gonna say Knuckles because I don't even know who that is, but sounds good to me.
Could be Nipples. He's one of the other.
That's fine. Thank you.
Rico.
Yeah.
No one wants to be Bozo.
No.
Okay.
Only fucking David Arquette. Who, for some reason, is now obsessed with Bozo the Clown and is, I think, doing... The cosplay is not the right word, but dresses up as Bozo the Clown a lot. Last time I saw.
I'm Googling this.
Pretty weird.
Maybe he's playing him in a movie. I don't know. One of the last things I remember seeing from him is him being like way into Bozo the Clown. So,
what if he's Bozo dubbed over?
Yeah, Bozo did the dub.
I hope he doesn't jack off.
What is this? A computer? A clown pewter?
Yeah, clown feud.
Okay, this says David Arquette reveals he's taking lessons to become a clown.
Hell yeah.
What?
Declaring that, quote unquote, takes a lot of training. He loves clowns. I've been sort of a clown period of my life. I'm studying to be a clown. I'm working with... Oh, jeez.
What?
Okay, all right, okay. He's working with an organization called Healthy Humor. They go into hospitals and entertain people who are going through a tough time. I'm just going to say this. If I'm in the hospital, I don't want to see a clown. If the clown was David Arquette, though, I'm okay with it.
Lone exception.
Yeah. He just says, I'm a huge fan of Bozo, by the way, and personally I'm studying to be a clown myself. Yeah, okay, well, he apparently knows how to juggle.
I just love that David Arquette will get like these 5-year spans where he just gets heavily into one thing and just makes it like his entire life, and then just like pivots to something else. Like this is coming. This is coming like I think like right off of like his like wrestling stuff. So it's very funny.
To be fair, this article is from 2022, so it has been going on for a little while. But, you know, we love a hyperfixation king, all right? I'm there. I've been there. Not with clowns, but...
hopefully never with clowns.
I'm happy to say that this turned out to be way more wholesome than I originally expected. So, you know, continue to stand, David Arquette.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to talk about David Arquette being Bozo for an hour and a half today.
Please. Just a disclaimer, I do have the kitten in here with me, so who knows?
Who cares?
I might be called away at any moment. Come here.
Summoned.
Yes, by Mr. Mulder.
So, this week, we were talking about 1984's The Toxic Avenger, and this is our 6-year anniversary episode.
Aww, happy anniversary.
Also, outside of the Omen episode, do you guys know when the last time all three of us recorded a regular episode was?
I don't have any idea.
I can tell you when it was released, at least. I don't know what day it was recorded.
Was it Monster Face?
Yes, July 1st. Monster Man.
Monster Man.
I was like, what was Monster Face? I don't remember that at all.
As soon as Katie said Monster Face, and like Monster Man immediately left my brain, and I had to like retrieve it real quick and be like, "What the fuck?" I know it was Monster something, but I know it wasn't Monster Face.
Was it really Monster Man?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Jesus,
guys, it's September.
Yep.
Well,
that's
you know what?
insane.
Because we had
life hits you hard.
Yeah.
I think it was like the following episode after that was the Danzig movie with Dylan, and there was like a million Ghost Adventures episodes, and Kit and I covering some real cinema the last 2 weeks with Men and Night of the Living Dead and Butt Crack.
Bangers.
Katie, don't say butt crack 12 times in one breath, or we're fucked.
Okay. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I almost did the other day, so I'm glad you said something.
Yeah, Toxic Avenger. So, after Kit and I had a meltdown last week about the remake,
okay,
never coming out.
Motherfuckers.
So originally, our plan was, because we talked about doing this like a year ago, and then we're like, well, let's just wait. They're like, the remake just premiered. We'll do like a original versus remake episode.
Yeah, double header.
And then a year happened, and like it never came out.
Never came out.
Fucking Peter Dinklage and the studios were just like, yeah, this movie's probably never coming out. For some reason, they premiered it, and it got a bunch of fucking praise, and they're just like, this movie's unwatchable. Never release it.
Okay, sounds about right.
Yeah. So, who fucking knows? So, we're gonna talk about the 1984 Toxic Avenger today. I'm assuming Kit had seen before, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I know this is probably because I went back and I was like, I know we've done a couple trauma movies, and every single one of them so far, Katie's not been on. It was like Rabid Grannies, Killer Condom, Butt Crack.
Was Street Trash?
No.
Okay. This gave real Street Trash vibes. In my opinion.
There may have been one. I didn't make it. I didn't look through the entire thing, but the ones I could specifically remember offhand. But I think this is the first, one trauma actually made. Like Rabid Grannies and Killer Condom and Butt Crack were all ones they, just distributed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, Katie, what'd you think about Toxic Avenger?
How to say? Not great.
Pretty good, huh?
It's so good.
Definitely I hadn't seen this before. I had seen the cartoon for some reason.
The fact that they made a children's cartoon out of this is insane.
So but I would say that this movie was about what I expected, which is that I really hated it, except for the practical effects, which are just I don't know how you say anything wrong about a guy just getting his arm ripped off in the middle of a restaurant. But yeah, a lot of the stuff in it was not my favorite. Some of it confusing, but it is what it is. I can see why this is got notoriety behind it, but not for me. I don't think it comes as any surprise to anybody that I just feel like trauma is not really for me. That's fine.
I'm pretty surprised.
Yeah.
Well,
so
it's true. I would bet we could come across something from trauma you would like, because they're pretty. Honestly, I feel like if anything, you would. Well, I don't know. Class of Nukem High, you might like. I don't know. There's
Romeo and Juliet for sure.
Oh, Romeo and Juliet, you would fucking hate. I feel like you would probably enjoy the stuff they've distributed more than the stuff that Lloyd Kaufman actually makes.
Right.
Because I feel like you would have probably been on board with Rabid Grannies, and honestly, probably Killer Condom, because Killer Condom is not at all what you it's a lot better than the title leads you to believe it will be.
Okay.
I don't know. I think you would probably actually enjoy both those. Rabbit Grannies is just like, it's just a very easy premise of just like their grandmas are like possessed of demons, and then they just start fucking killing people.
Okay. Well, wasn't that the one that I forgot?
Yes, we like went to
then you
record,
guys
and you
were
were like,
I thought it was tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, my one and only mistake I've ever made, honestly.
in life.
I've never exactly. So it's just really
yeah, this movie
it's a
is
sensitive subject.
This movie's a banger. Katie's wrong, just so everyone's aware.
Well,
I think this movie holds up still. Like, I think the sort of, like, you know, there's things in it that in like 2024 standards, probably a lot of people would not agree that it holds up. But there's like,
yeah,
this is but like there's like Lloyd Kaufman, all of his movies usually are like saying like something. There's a real like political stance in them, but they just kind of get. Like, by the time you get to, like, Terror Firmer, I think he's, like, lost the plot a little bit on what he's trying to say with things. And just it becomes more, like, South Park-y a little bit.
Right.
well, yeah.
But I think this one, and then, like, The Class of Nukem High, I can't remember if I don't know if he directed the first one, I can't remember. But, like, there's, you know, a lot of, like, commentary going on, and especially in this one, and it was, like... This was, like, the first horror movie Troma made. Like, they were just making, like, sex comedies before this.
Yeah.
And, like, this became, like, a fucking, like, wasn't, like, a hit in theaters, but, like, became, like, a massive thing on, like, VHS and rental time. And then I think, like, at some point Troma had, like, a deal with, like, I don't know, HBO or Showtime or something where they would play some of their movies. And this is, you know, Toxic Avenger is, like, the movie that, like, made them a quote-unquote real studio.
Okay, yeah.
Despite, like, you know, never having money to actually make their movies. But, yeah, this was, like, I think their first, like... I think they had, like, okay business with, like, their sex comedies. But this, like, kind of, like, is what put them on the map. And, you know, you can see why in, like, the 80s with, like, this like, the violence in this movie is, like, so over the top.
Yeah.
It rocks.
I like that there was, like, a disclaimer in the beginning of the movie that was just like, hey, by the way, this is very violent.
Yeah,
I was
that
like, okay.
was new to me, I believe. Because I don't know if I've ever watched this not on disc.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, you know, maybe a VHS tape back in the day. And, like, that's the first time I think I've ever watched it on streaming, and it was like, oh, I don't remember this being on anything. So that might just be a new, like, a streaming add-on.
Sure.
But it's good. Like, you know, it's acting-wise, it's, you know, it's, you kind of have to take it for what it is, being, like, a very low budget production, and like a, you know, there's no like names in it except for Marissa Tomei being one of the women that walk out of the shower in one of the movies or in one of the scenes. Somehow 18-year-old Marissa Tomei ended up in this movie. It's just like an extra. It's real weird because there's a bunch of stories where like Vincent D'Onofrio was supposed to play one of the characters in it, and I forget who, and he asked for a slight raise in money, and they fired him. And
Absolutely not.
I think in one of, like, I forget which one it was, but, like, one of the sex comedies, like, Madonna, right before she broke huge, auditioned, and they were like, you're terrible, no way.
Well,
incredible.
Yeah.
I would hazard to say she's not an actress, so it's fine.
We'll tell that to Seeking Susan, or whatever that fucking movie's called. Suddenly Seeking Susan?
Okay.
Desperately?
Desperately, there you go. I think Suddenly Susan was a TV show.
Suddenly, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I still really enjoy this movie. This used to be like a 5-star movie for me, but as like, I guess just the more I've watched it, the more I'm like, yeah, I don't know, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I still like, this is still probably the best, like, original Troma production, I think. At least for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't know, but I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I feel like you would maybe appreciate 2 and 3 of the Toxic Avenger more, because they're a little more goofy. Like, they kind of turn more like, I can't think of, like, I don't know, a little more like Tammy and the T-Rex-ish, where they're just kind of, like, weird and, like, I don't know, it's not as, like, grimy as this one is, I guess. 4 is borderline unwatchable, I think. But
yeah, I think I don't know. I definitely see where they were going with this movie. I think the problem for me is that like the humor in it was like too slapsticky. It just like wasn't for me at all. But I could see how people at the time probably thought it was funny.
I definitely think this is a movie. Like I was curious what your thoughts would be, because as I was watching it, I was like, I don't know how this movie works on somebody seeing it for the first time when they're in their like 30s.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it's a movie that like you should see in your teens, or like
formative years,
maybe early 20s, and especially
definitely.
now, like this movie broke my brain in like the 90s when I saw it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just kind of like renting it on a whim. It's like, oh, that's like a cool cover or whatever. And like, so like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I'd be curious how this movie plays for like the current generation of like kids, just like in like high school or whatever. I wonder if this is like a movie that how it would work on like younger people, but
I think not good.
I don't know. There's like it might. Obviously there's some like hard slurs in there, but it's not like they're all like said by like the bad guys in the movie.
Yeah,
sure.
People that are supposed to be awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like the person you're rooting for is like Toxic Avengers walking around calling people slurs.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like from that point of view, it's that like there is like a generational gap between where, and like you can argue this is like a really, really common argument for like Stephen King writing too, where like he'll use like this, that, or the other word, and then people are like, oh, you can't put that in there, and then people are like, okay, but the point is that these people are terrible, and that's like the vernacular that they use, and like this, that, and the other thing. But then there's like a steep drop off for like generations where they're just like, no, you can't say that no matter what kind of thing. And that's why I feel like maybe it wouldn't be. Yeah, also, Toxic Avenger is kind of like pro cops too, which I feel like the kids these days. You know what I'm saying?
It was real sad. I mean, real sad, and you saved that cop at the start.
Yeah, but it was the 80s, so what can you do?
You can't say that. There was RoboCop.
Yeah, RoboCop is pro cop, like the character.
Yeah,
he's just not like. I feel like, see, the thing is though, Toxic Avenger technically would kill bad cops because like he can't control himself. I think it goes like they go into the idea that he has like traumatons or what is like causing him. He just loses control anytime he's around like something bad happening and will like kill people in the sequels. But like it's just sort of hinted at in here. Then they were just like, hey, what if we just add the word trauma into whatever traumatons?
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you? Traumaville or wherever.
It's just good branding.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I will say though, like, it wasn't the worst thing, obviously, that I've seen. Like, I didn't hate it so much that I was like, oh my god, when is this going to be over? Even though, because I feel like you can look at it, like, the gore and, like, the over-the-top, like, violence of it is, like, some of it I was shocked at because I just wasn't expecting them to have the level of effects that they have in it. And like I know that they're kind of, this movie was like kind of known for that or whatever, but like some of the stuff I just sincerely was like shocked at. Like maybe he was a cop or something that gets his head like squashed by the weights in the gym.
Oh no, I think he's just like
whatever he is.
He might just have just been like a drug dealer or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're right. He was. But that like really shocked me. Because it was like, it's like not even like cheesy. It just was like it was fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like the problem I think that Troma has after this is like I think a lot of the time Lloyd's movies are trying to recapture sort of like the magic that happened with this one.
Sure.
But with like less, maybe not necessarily less of a budget, but just like with inflation and shit, that just amount of money doesn't go as far as it did in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, by the time you get to things like, I think like Terra Firma and like beyond, it just becomes like kind of worse looking effects wise. I guess I don't know, there's some things like there's a scene in Terra Firma where like this dude is like eaten by an escalator that's like pretty fun, and like, but like they do like the over the top gore where it's just like it'll show like from the escalator's point of view, I guess, and it's just blood like going everywhere, and like there's someone like throwing organs into the air and shit.
Perfect.
But it's like I don't know if they've ever really lived up to how well like the kid getting his head crushed by the car, or like you said, the guy in the gym getting his head crushed by the weights.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the entire fucking like meltdown Melvin has before turning into the Toxic Avenger and shit, like just like all of that looks so good in this.
They set that man on fire.
Yeah, they did. That's up there with fucking the dude in Ebola syndrome that gets lit on fire, where I'm like, this dude died. Like, I don't know. You can tell me this guy lived. I do not believe you, because that guy's been on fire for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, we can get into the plot.
Okay.
I feel like we,
the whole reason to watch the movie.
Yeah.
I will say I found the first 20 minutes pretty bad, and then everything after that was like not as like once, because it takes about that time for him to toxic avenge,
Yeah.
And everything up to
toxically.
that was like awful, because it's just like people treating each other insanely. So here we go.
It has the same thing, and like, but kind of, I guess maybe more annoyingly, of like 80s bullies, where you're just like, God damn, this is like over the top.
Like,
we're
really,
like one step away from somebody carving their name into someone's belly in this. Then,
right?
Where I'm like, this isn't bully activity. This is like psychopath activity.
Like actually, because within the first 20 minutes, you find out the like, quote unquote bully. These are all like full grown adults. They're not in high school, I assume.
Yeah, they're like literally like at someone's job bullying them while they work.
Seriously. And when we find out their favorite pastime, I literally almost texted, what in the actual fuck is happening here?
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah, so this movie starts with shots of New York. We see the towers.
I was like, at the end, I think they show like when it's just like Toxie running around with like the background. Caitlin was like, oh, the Twin Towers are there. I'm like, yeah, it was 84.
Yeah, I was just like, it's just like so interesting to me, because like they showed the skyline and like immediately you're like, oh goodness, there they are.
Yeah, I feel like that's like anytime I see like Spider-Man, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, I'm like, oh yeah, this was like came out like right after, where they had to like edit it out of posters and shit.
I'm like not even kidding you. The Twin Towers in Spider-Man is literally my version of the fucking Lord of the Rings guys when what's his face like breaks his toe or whatever. That's me for Spider-Man. Anytime somebody mentions like that, I'm like, okay, so whatever. Let's just move on.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's like such a thing for like people watching Lord of the Rings, there's like a scene where Aragorn like kicks a helmet and he yells, and they're like, and then people are like, oh, that scream was real because he broke his toe. And like it's true, but it's become kind of like a meme at this point, you know? Like
that's me with the stunt guy at the beginning of Hot Rod now.
Actually, so true. So true, because I literally did that to Chris the last time we were watching it. Because he was like, that looks so fake. And I was like,
dude actually broke his leg.
Yeah. Okay. Shots of New York. There is a narrator basically talking about how New York is like the best thing ever in the world, except pollution, of course. And we see a sign that says, "Welcome to Tromaville. It is the toxic waste capital of the world." I'm not sure why we're bragging about that, but that's literally on like the welcome sign in front of like a bunch of children playing in a park.
Gotta set up that premise for when you get to the rest of these movies and Class of Nukem High.
There you go. I'm wondering if I've seen... No. There's something just called like Class of 99 or something, right?
Oh, yeah. There's like...
Okay,
yeah.
I've seen that. I don't think I've seen the other thing. So we meet our main character whose name is Melvin Ferd. Great. And he works as a janitor at a health club. There's a montage of close-ups of just a bunch of people working out in like the shortest shorts you've ever seen, and also bikini tops for some reason.
Yeah.
The health club is a bikini top and short shorts. I mean, you gotta, right? It's essentially a YMCA for people who know that. Except I don't think the YMCA has like upscale saunas, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
I bet there's one that does. I bet they're probably like in the 80s, maybe.
Yeah. So we meet these group of jocks who are named Bozo, Slug. One of the girlfriends is Julia, and I don't know the other one's name at all.
Wanda?
Wanda. Yeah, Julie Wanda. Okay, I wrote
Bozo
Julia,
and Slug.
maybe. No, I wrote Julie. Okay, I'm fine. And they're basically just like really, really hate Melvin. Like they're just disgusted by him, even looking at him.
Bozo is like extreme.
he like so the four of them are all like in a hot tub and they're like watching him mop. And like, to be fair, I'm not really sure why he's mopping. This health club is like popping. There's people everywhere. He's like mopping the pool area between people like lounging, which seems very strange to me. But anyways, they're like looking at him and he just like fucking hates him. And he's like, he's stressing me out, Julie. He's messing with my karma. And he's like fucking screaming like the entire movie, essentially. And they're basically just talking about how much they hate him for no reason. They're being really dramatic, except for that Melvin does accidentally put the mop in the hot tub and they freak out. Which, like, okay, gross, but also there's so many chemicals in a hot tub, like, you're fine, chill out. But they, like, jump out, they're being really dramatic, they're, like, fucking yelling, and, like, they leave or whatever. Slug is also smoking inside the health club.
Honestly, you probably could then.
Probably. Yeah.
Different world.
I noticed it though because he actually is the only person that I saw smoking. So I was like, okay, he's smoking while telling Bozo that Bozo's getting fat. Great. I
forgot that they're fucking with him and he just starts working out even harder.
Yeah. At this point, I didn't know who anybody's name was. So two of them, one of the guys, it's Bozo. No, it's Slug. Slug and his girlfriend are basically talking about their favorite pastime, which is literally running people over with their car. like, this gets worse. Okay, so they're just basically, like, talking about being in the car, like, and at first it's just like, he's like, do you want to go for a drive? And she's like, yeah, let's go really fast. And they're, like, talking about it, and they're, like, getting, like, pretty turned on just talking about going for a car ride. And I was like, that's weird. And then Slug is just like, yeah, when we hit people and their bones crunch all over the place. And I was like, excuse me?
You think this is where, like, David Cronenberg got the idea to be horny for car crashes?
Probably.
Absolutely.
He was like, oh, What is the sensation?
So my understanding is that like this is based off a real thing. Like, I don't know if this was like a thing that was actually happening or if it was like a news like scare thing or not. But it's like based off like a real thing that was like going on where there was like supposedly the game of like, oh, if you hit like a person carrying bags, it's this many points, or if you hit somebody in a wheelchair, it's this many points, sort of thing.
I mean, and like to be totally honest, it's still kind of like a joke, right? Like, I don't know. Like I have
hitting people with your car is funny, Katie.
You should know. I'm just kidding. No, like it is a joke for like people to see like a person like a stroller and be like, oh, 20 points, whatever. Yeah, sure. So they're just like talking about it at this point. They get so turned on that they have to go have sex, right? And Melvin walks in on them, and then it becomes very clear that Julie is like, no, that they're actually psychotic, because she's like, get out of here, I'm gonna fucking stab you, and she's got a knife or whatever, and he's like, so, but I will say, like, they're just in a locker room that anybody could walk in on, but they're just really upset.
The janitor.
Literally, right? But anyways, he's like, oh, okay, so the very next scene is that they're all in the car, and like they actually are talking about essentially the people that they're trying to run over are like anybody who's not white and also children. Those are their like
yeah, this is like one of the first like their
targets
scene where there's like they drop like a bunch of slurs.
Yes, a lot of them. And they also have like decals on the side of their car that they put an X over when they've hit like there's like a stroller.
Not really being subtle when it comes to like
Okay, I was like, okay, the more that this goes on in this movie, I was like, I know that it was the 80s, but how are they not getting caught after having killed at least
the police force doesn't seem great in this town.
Yeah, okay, fair. I mean, fair. So, they're basically talking about, like, these are the amount of points you get for hitting, like, this certain person. And, Bozo's the one that's driving, and he's, like, really fucking pumped. He's, like, screaming. He's like, yeah, let's do it. I want to fucking hit somebody with the car.
Bozo is the character Vincent D'Onofrio was supposed to play. And I feel like it would be very different character.
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio. It'd probably be, like, a lot more, like, Kingpin-ish, where he's just, like...
Yeah.
Like down-tuned but creepy, as opposed to this like over the top,
this like fucking screaming psychopath. Sure, yeah, and it's definitely. So basically, like they're like, okay, this is like, let's do it, and he's like driving around, and he's like, where are all the people? Because it's like nighttime, right? But then you see this woman being like, goodbye, like sending this kid off on his bike, and she's like, be safe. He, like, essentially immediately gets hit. Like, they hit him with the car, and you see all of it. You see him get hit by the car, his body goes flying. He's, like, in the road trying to, like, drag himself to the bike, and they're like, oh, wait, you don't get points if he's not dead. He's still alive. Look at him back there. Jesus, oh my god. Like,
yeah,
okay.
Well, you gotta get those points.
I guess.
Very important.
The thing that's, like,
get a prize.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the prize at the end of this? The thing that's, like, even
Jail.
more disturbing about the situation is that there's, like, this upbeat, like, song playing in the background that's, like, just, like, normal high schoolers going on a joyride, like, woohoo! But they're, like, fucking setting out to kill people. The girls get out of the car and start taking pictures of the dead child that they just hit.
Hell yeah. Again,
I was
you
like...
need that proof. You
I was
gotta,
like,
to claim those points, you need proof.
You do. And, you know, they get a lot of use out of the pictures, I guess.
Yeah, they do.
My point is, at this point, I was like, what even the fuck is going on? Because what is happening here?
It's wild that that's the first instance of, like, that, like, gratuitous, like, violence in this movie. Yeah. It's just like a kid getting their head ran over. And it looks incredible. It
really does.
It's
so
like
that's why,
straight up red asphalt.
Yes, that's why at this point I was like, what in the fuck is this so far?
It's Good way to set up your bad guys, though.
True. So they're like driving. They're like, okay, like let's go get another one. And Slug's like, oh, Ken, I gotta go home. I have to get her up early. And they're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, to go to church. And they're all like, oh.
Yep.
The next day, they are back at the health club, and since Slug went to church that morning, he's got a clean slate. So he immediately puts a snake down an instructor's shirt. And, like, the whole gag here is that the instructor is teaching, like, an aerobics class. And he's like, no, people, you're supposed to be doing what I'm doing. And then he gets the snake down his back, so he's, like, screaming and, like, reaching for the snake. And they're all like, oh, okay. And they're, like, doing what he's doing or whatever. Like, haha, you know?
I like the idea of putting a snake in someone's shirt, like, as, like, a practical joke.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
For real. They all decide...
Katie,
yes.
How you feel about the Anaconda remake idea?
I think that it sounds incredible.
Just had to make sure. Kit and I talked about it last week, so...
I assume that everybody is on board.
Absolutely.
It sounds like the best thing ever.
Our King John Voight's not in it. I don't care.
Yeah. John Voight's not there being racist. What's the point?
Get John Voight, Kevin Sorbo in there. I am in.
I actually, to be honest with you, completely forgot about it. But
the Anacondas are doing child trafficking, and that's why John Voight and Kevin Sorbo are trying to hunt them down.
Jim Caviezel's gonna show up to help fucking take down the snake child trafficking people.
The white supremacist snakes.
I can only imagine that movie never gets made. the Paul Rudd, Jack Black version.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Julie and the gang decide that they really hate Melvin. They're gonna get back at him. She's like, I've got an idea, and he'll never mess with us again. He doesn't mess with them, first of all.
Just
they show up. They show up where he works and then are, like, mad that he's there, which...
You sack of shit. What are you doing in your job?
Literally, actually, what happens. And so Julie goes and invites Melvin to... Basically, she's like, oh, come meet me in the locker room later. Like, I want to apologize. So Melvin goes...
Yeah,
meanwhile...
She's like, I don't really like... I forget if she's with Slug or Bozo. I forget which one. But she's like, I don't like him anymore. I really like you, Melvin.
Yeah, so, well, first she says, like, I want to say sorry for the other night, like, meet me at the locker room. There's a small scene in the middle where there's, like, these truck drivers who are driving open barrels of radioactive chemical waste into the town, and, they're like, oh, let's pull over and take a break, and the guy's like, no, like, we've got all these chemicals, we can't, like, we're already behind schedule. And then the other guy's like, oh, I've got a bag of Coke or whatever. And he's like, why didn't you say so? And so they pull over in front of the health club to, like, do drugs.
Convenient.
Yeah. Melvin goes to meet Julie in the locker room. She's, like, wearing a bathing suit. And she basically is like, yeah, I'm tired of Bozo. Like, he treats everybody bad. And I just like you. I want to do it. And he's like, do what? And there's, like, this whole slapsticky thing where she's like, do it with you. And he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, oh, but you're not wearing pink. And he's like, what? She's like, pink is my favorite color. I'm wearing pink. You need to wear pink too. So she gives him this, like...
fucking, like, ballerina tutu.
It's like a full body leotard that's pink, covered in blue polka dots, and then also has a pink tutu. And I'm like, what is this?
To be fair, he looks cool as fuck when he comes walking out in it, though.
He has, like, the mop, and he's, like, dancing and stuff, and he's all happy.
If you can't lay pipe in that, what are you even doing?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's fair. That's disgusting, first of all. I don't like that at all.
I'm sorry, lay mop.
Yeah.
You can't lay mop.
Okay, that's even...
He's gonna need that bop. Cause that,
that... Clean up afterwards.
Okay.
I was trying how to say this without Katie getting off the podcast.
Goodbye. Well, Kit, I hate to say it, but there's a reason it's been 2 months since I've talked to you. Okay, so he comes out, he's wearing it, he's like all excited or whatever, right? And so this is confusing to me because she basically is like, oh, meet me out here. So he goes into this room that's like completely dark and is like, oh, Julie, thinking that he's like making out with her, I guess. And then she goes, turn on the light. And they turn on the light and it's an entire room of people, but also there's a pool there. And I'm like, how did he walk straight to the sheep or whatever animal this is?
I was gonna say you're burying the lead here. And that's
Okay.
that he's holding and making out with a goat wearing a bra and lipstick.
It's a sheep.
And he was.
It is a sheep.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're so soft. Like.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's rubbing her face, and I'm like, what do you think is happening here?
To be fair,
and anyways,
this is
That's
like
like she's in a bikini. The previous scene, like, did he not see how?
No.
Like, not covered in fur she was?
I guess not.
I mean, you don't. To be fair, you don't know how much hair is underneath that bikini.
Sir.
What if, like, she takes it off and she's just Chewbacca?
There's furry titties.
So much hair that it just goes just all the way from titties down.
That's really vile. So
that sheep in real life was apparently infested with lice, and no one knew till after they filmed.
Oh no!
Did they get lice?
I don't. That's just the extent of the story that I've heard them tell.
Gross. It is a cute
Incredible.
Thing, so yeah.
That's,
so anyways,
that's how you know this movie's
This
art.
is the most insane prank idea of like.
yeah, because also like
I would just be like, yeah, I don't know, that sheep was cute. I'll make out with it. That's like,
I will
you're not
say-
gonna shame me.
when they turn on the lights, he's kind of just like hugging the sheep. He's not even like actually
like he's like 2 inches away from the sheep's face, and he's just making like a kissy face
Like-
at it when the light comes on.
right. But
Holding
everybody,
it, like petting it.
If this was
Right,
Italian,
it's-
he would be jerking that sheep off
right?
as like
Yeah.
the prank.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that.
I've seen a
Anyways.
lot of Italian movies with
I don't
women
need to.
and horses.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
We're
so
gonna do Caligula: The Untold Story.
Oh, no.
That's okay. That is all right. Anyways, everybody sees him thinking that the sheep was a woman, and they just really think that it's the funniest thing ever. So they're all laughing at him. Like I said, a whole room of people laughing at him, and he's like, oh, he's like embarrassed, so he runs out, and they just all follow him, like laughing at him, and he just like jumps out a window.
Yeah, you have to.
I mean, I think at that point, obviously you do. He jumps out a window and lands in the open radioactive barrels that are there, so that's like really convenient. And he immediately is getting messed up and freaking out, right? Because he's touched a bunch of like biochemical waste. And one of the guys goes, "Huh, well, if he can't take a joke, he stinks."
Yeah, not wrong.
It's true, but then he jumped out a window and is now in acid.
Look,
so
hear me out. Next Jackass movie.
I don't know. Okay.
They just do this prank, but for real.
Right.
Steve-O's got
they
to
have
jump into
to.
a bunch of toxic waste and see what happens.
I think they must. It's been far too long since this was a prank. They haven't done it.
I bet Poopies would do it.
Oh, 100%.
So he is out of the barrels. He's like rolling around, like he's postulating.
It looks fucked up.
It does. He's just like rolling around on the sidewalk. The cops come to helpfully tell him that he needs to like leave.
Yeah, hey,
They're
move
just
it
like,
along.
move along, buddy. And one of the cops like touches him and his hands catch on fire. And this is when Melvin completely catches on fire himself and starts just like walking down the street. Okay.
Perfect.
And so,
cinema.
yeah, it just like cuts to him at home. He's like not on fire anymore. His mom is like banging on the door, like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay?" He gets in the bathtub
just like,
and
oh, puberty.
he finally reached puberty. The joys. He's in there like screaming because he's getting chemical burned and shit. He gets in the bathtub and his skin is like literally like bubbling and stuff, and his feet acid is melting the floor.
So I guess like in this scene they like talked about like how like I guess how shitty it was to film, because like I guess they could like due to like the makeup he's wearing on his body, he had to be in just this like ice cold water. And it's like I just like could not stay in it long enough, and at some point he just had to like force himself to stay in it to get the scene done. But when they were done, they couldn't get any of the makeup off him, so he had to go and just like soak in like the showers at like whatever the local YMCA. And I was like, all I could think about was like how shitty it had to have been to be like the janitor in that YMCA that had to like
clean it up.
Yeah, like just fucking go in, and then all of a sudden there's just like all of this fucking gross makeup and shit just fucking all over the floor.
Can you imagine being dressed as the Toxic Avenger and you've just got to go soak in the YMCA
not even as
until
the
all the
toxic,
shit comes off?
just like the fucking like process of being
Avenger.
the effect with like the bubbles on his arm with like the skin bubbling is so gross.
Yeah,
it looks like, incredible.
It's pretty gross, and he's like pulling clumps of his hair out, and he's like screaming, and like I don't know, you can tell it's bad, right? I mean, it's chemical waste. I feel like it's poetic that we're talking about a janitor at a YMCA having to clean up after the guy when he's like essentially that's what he is.
The real prank.
Full circle.
There you go. That's right. Okay, so after he's done postulating and whatnot, he's transformed. There's just a scene of him like running out into the sunset, and I'm gonna say from here until the scene later where I literally say it, we only really see him like in shadow. We don't ever see his face.
Yeah,
we just see like the back of him.
They do the face. They take like a while to get to the face reveal,
and it's like such a weird scene too. So he runs out into the sunset. He's like running around in the streets. You can tell by his like silhouette that he's like fucked up, right? Because he seems like a lot taller. He's like muscly and he's bumpy. He's still wearing the remnants of the burnt off tutu situation. So now we switch gears a little bit. There's just some kind of like street thugs there talking about how they're going to try and bribe this cop. And one of them is like, oh, well, he's a clean cop. He's not going to take your bribe. And then they're like, well, we'll just fucking kill him, right? As you do.
You don't say no to Cigar Face.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
What an incredible name.
I'm going to show you why they call me Cigar Face. So they basically are just like, like standing there. They wait for this cop to show up, and the cop is like, oh, what the fuck are you doing here? And they're like, here, this is from our boss. And they like try and give him money, and he's just like, no, like I'm not interested. And so then that's when he says the thing I just said and puts out his cigar like on the cop's forehead. And then they just like start fighting each other, right? That's when Melvin, as the Toxic Avenger, shows up and like beats up / maybe kills some of the guys. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think he kills all of them except Cigar Face.
Yeah, he just maims him.
Yeah, he like puts one of them in a barrel and just fucking like punches down on his gooch like over and over again. And so that might have been Cigar Face.
I can't remember if it's this scene or it's like another one where he fights a bunch of people where he's like standing on one of their feet and then is doing the like boxing bag thing to their face.
could be, yeah. And so after either the people are killed or run away or whatever, Melvin, the cop obviously thinks that he's next, but Melvin just like helps the cop up. And this was the most startling part of this entire thing to me because I guess if we didn't really describe, Melvin was kind of like a one of the taglines is like
98-pound weakling.
98-pound of solid nerd. So he was kind of like a nerd. He had this like nerdy affect to his voice or whatever, kind of like a Napoleon Dynamite look to him. Now he's like huge and like mutated, whatever. But when he like helps the cop up, he's just like, "Sorry, officer, I couldn't help myself." And he's got this like superhero-esque voice now that was like,
yeah, he's got a bit of like a Clark Kent.
yeah, I was like, what? That was like the shocking part to me for some reason.
It's so funny because there's like 4 of them, and like every actor that got hired to actually play like the big, actual Toxic Avenger version, like has been so mad when they found out that they dubbed their voice with someone else afterwards. And then by the time you get to 4, I'm like, how did you not see this coming? They did this 3 times before.
Yeah. It's like it was like very
what makes
startling.
you special?
Yeah. Also because like it's obviously like ADR or whatever, so it's like very loud compared to like them just like miking it on the street or whatever, So anyways, yeah, he's just basically like, "Hey, sorry, I don't know what came over me. I'm not usually violent." And the cop is just like, "Okay, no worries. Bye." So of course the cop like immediately goes back to the precinct and is like, "Oh, this guy, he was like really scary looking, but he saved my life. He's a hero, whatever." The press gets a hold of the story. There's all of this like side stuff with the mayor, who is like very obviously dirty and like a piece of shit, and his like head cop that is like definitely a Nazi.
Yeah. Like some subtle commentary.
Yeah. So there's like all of this stuff going on with like the mayor, behind the scenes, the mayor just being like, "Oh, I don't know." We see like press release like newspapers about like a monster hero essentially, and maybe I missed something, but like so at the end of this, Melvin tries to go home, but when his mom opens the door and sees him, she screams and like slams the door in his face. So he goes back to like the dump and like builds a house there. And then at the end of the movie, the mom is like, "Don't leave my son alone." And I was like, wait, when did they make up? Did I just miss that?
They never, like, I don't think it's ever supposed to be insinuated that they were like having a fight. I think she just saw this monster and like freaked out and then realized that it's Melvin. They just don't show it.
They don't show. Okay, I just was like, wait, why is she on his, like, what?
I think it's like just an excuse to have him living in the shack because that's just where he lives in like the rest of the movies, him and Sarah.
Sure.
Actually, I don't remember if it's Sarah in all of them. He dates the same, like, it's always, like the blonde and blind woman, but I can't remember if her name's Sarah in the rest of them. Because that's like literally every single time it's like recast. Like I think Sarah's a different person, and like 2 and 3 are filmed at the same time, and then 4 it's like a different, like different actress, and like one different actress in 1, 2, and 3, and then 4. So there's 3 different ones. That's like a different actress.
So yeah, he goes back to the dump and like makes himself a dump house.
Yep. Sounds like something.
Love a dump house.
I will say, I think that one of the things that stylistically made this like drag for me a little bit is that there's like so much setup of like the areas that they're in, like at the gym. I understand in the very beginning it's like the credits are rolling, but they just show so many people like doing stuff at this health club that I'm like, okay, like we fucking get it, we're at a health club. This kind of happens here too, where the setting is a restaurant and there's just like so much like exposition of like there's a blind girl and her dog, which I'm gonna also say trigger warning for death of an animal that we see graphically.
I honestly think I have a feeling what it was is they were probably like, I don't know if contracted is the way this movie was made, but they were probably trying to specifically hit like the 80-minute mark.
Sure.
Because there's like there's scenes, there's like a thing at the end too where it like shows like I think it's when Toxie is going to kill the mayor, where it shows like this montage of just like all of the other people he killed, I think, in the movie. So like I think there is like a bit of like what comes off as like padding to like hit, because it's only 82 minutes.
Yeah, but I think the problem for me is that I could tell that's.
Oh, no.
You know?
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's because there's a lot of footage of him just like running around in like, sunset time in this, because it's just like a cool looking shot, but they use like a lot of that footage where I'm just like, yeah, this is clearly, you probably had like 70 minutes of like actual movie and needed to pad it out to that, like,
and also in a cheap way, just like so like we're at this restaurant and there's like all of these people. They show like all of these different people, like the workers, people eating there. There's a girl and her guide dog. There's like a person with their child, and then the 3 like people run in to like basically hold up the restaurant.
The one thing I do appreciate is that, like, at least in these sort of 80s into early 90s Lloyd Kaufman movies, he always makes the bad guys look as insane. Like, like the one dude in this that's got like the fucking half clown makeup or whatever. Like, they always look like wild,
absolute degenerates.
Yeah.
They're like, go in there and do the weirdest thing. Yeah, he's wearing like what are those called? The like hot pants, essentially, with like just suspenders, no shirt, and then his face is like literally half painted, either red or black, and then the other eye has like really exaggerated like eye makeup. It's very God, crazy.
We used to be a real country with people that dressed absolutely cool as shit, and now we are.
Yeah. but they like they like come in. It's like 3 guys, and they're basically just like, give us your money. And then, like, as the people are, like, shaken down, like, the register and stuff, he's like, hi, everybody, I'm Leo. He's, like, announcing to everybody what their names are and, like, making this, like, big show of it. And I was like, what is going on here? It was very, like, early Batman-ish, if you will, where, like, the guys are just, like, giving everybody a scene.
They definitely have, like Joker henchmen, energy.
Yeah, so they're like showing everybody. One of the guys, like, robbing the cash register. They're like, oh, fucking shoot that baby or whatever. One of the guys,
that actor quit after filming the scene because they made him point a shotgun at a baby.
Okay, so basically, like, one of the guys also is like harassing somebody there, and a guy stands up and is like, hey, leave her alone, and then they just like fucking blow that guy away immediately, and then they shoot Sarah's guide dog, and they show it. They like zoom in on the dog getting
apparently
shot,
that's the most hate messages Troma ever got, was because of them shooting the dog. And like Lloyd Kaufman was just like, I ran over a child's head in the beginning of this movie.
That's fine. Justice for the dog. I will say it's very... Go ahead.
Also, I'm going to say something controversial here.
Uh-oh.
And I think it retroactively becomes very funny because whatever she's like, they killed my dog, and they cut to the dog. The dog's just like laying there, and they poured a pile of guts on top of it to make it look like it got shot.
It was literally just spaghetti.
It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I was gonna say, like, to be very fair, you can tell the dog is fine because he's like laying there panting, like somebody said lay, and he's like laying there like a good dog. It looked like spaghetti to me also.
Yeah, I think they've said it was just spaghetti with like this like gray paint in it.
Yeah,
and like I guess the dog, like the owner, like because they show the dog like slide across the room when it's shot.
Yes.
And I guess that's just a thing the dog liked to do, would just be like slid across the room, which is why they use this dog.
And you know what? I've seen that, and I've
Incredible.
seen people's cats like that too. So like, I'm very sure this dog was actually totally fine, but I just will say it was it's a trigger warning.
It's very shocking.
It was
first
shocking.
Happens. But then it becomes very funny.
Yes, because the dog is very obviously fine, and it's like laying there. Its eyes
just
are open. It's just like, it is really. But she's screaming about how her dog has been killed, and the dog's just like, but
Dog's like,
shocking.
That spaghetti.
Literally, yeah.
care, there's paint in it. I'm eating that spaghetti.
Yeah.
Okay, so that happens, right? Melvin shows up and starts fighting the dudes. The one guy, he just literally rips his arm off at the shoulder.
Yeah, that guy actually was like I think he lost his arm in a motorcycle accident. And like I don't know if he was originally cast or if he was just I forget the actual story. I remember listening to Lloyd talk about it in the commentary. But somehow they were just like, "Oh, like we should like use that guy to like do like an arm rip."
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
And he was like, "Hell yeah, I'm down."
Let's do it.
Which is why, because like it looks insane every like scene you see him before, because like there's a scene where he's like fighting Toxie, and he's just like the one arm is just hanging down completely limp while he's punching him a bunch of times with like the other one.
I didn't even notice it actually. That's so funny. So yeah, he rips that guy's. And so I will say this scene to me might be the most shocking because it is, I think, the most violent because it's like it starts immediately with the dog getting shot, and then every single time he is fighting somebody, it's hard to top ripping someone's arm off completely, but like they get worse and worse. So he rips this guy's arm off, right? And it's really funny because there's a cashier there that just like faint, and I was like, same. If I saw someone's arm get ripped off in person, I think that's it for me. Rips the guy's arm off, right? Whatever. The next guy, he like makes a ice cream sundae in his mouth,
jams the blender in his mouth,
puts the blender in there, and like blends up his face. Essentially, very funny. Then the next guy, he like bends a bunch of iron around him to keep him in place as he deep fries his hands.
Amazing.
He faints. Yeah, definitely. I don't know what crazy. I
think he's supposed to be dead. I don't think he faints.
Well, that's also fair. So yeah, that guy gets his deep fried his hands. And then he's like, okay, yeah, sorry everybody, like it's fine. Sorry about that. And I didn't even know Sarah's name until the very, very end when he's like, Sarah.
We forgot to say that the guy with the one arm, he jams into a pizza oven.
Oh, that's right. I didn't write it down. I forgot. Pizza oven. Yeah. Hate to see it.
And the entire time, like there's like a teenager and like an adult that are working there or whatever. And like the adult is like, I'm guessing known to be a drunk around town, because like when the cops show up later, they're like, "Oh, you seeing pink elephants too?" Because he's just like he the entire time. Like I think at some point he goes to like pick up a bottle of alcohol while this is all happening, and he just like puts it back down.
Yeah, he has this like flask that he pulls out of his crotch, which is literally disgusting.
I mean, flask.
Huh?
I said, where else are you supposed to keep a flask?
Well, he's fry cooking.
Yeah, you can't just have that out. What if, like, the fryer hits it and you lit on fire? You gotta keep that hidden away in your crotch.
Okay, fair. So, he scared that guy sober. So he's just doing good deeds left and right, right? So he walks out into the front, and of course, her name is Sarah. I don't know this until the end, so but she is, she's blind. The dog was her guide dog, and she's, of course, like, freaking out. She's like, he killed my dog. Like, I'm not gonna make it by myself. Like, I need help. I can't see, whatever. And he's like, okay, like, don't worry. I'll bring you. Don't worry about it. So then there's, like, this music set to, like, him guiding her back to her house.
I just love how, like, the sort of, like quick scene change or whatever of like where it's just like all of this violence, and then he's just like very like gentle and like the music and everything with Sarah like immediately.
Yeah. And so he leads her back to his house, and it's just like all kind of like slapsticky jokes about
take her to her house. Why are you taking her to the dump?
Well, he takes her back to her house first.
Oh, does
because
he?
There's like
that.
Yeah, there's like a scene where like she gets her a walking cane.
Yeah, you're right.
And like hits him in the crotch, of course, because oh my god, Sorry, hold on. He's climbing something.
Mulder.
Sir.
He's looking for aliens.
Sir.
Yeah.
There's no aliens in my yarn bin.
You don't know that.
Chill out.
He knows something's in there.
He was sleeping peacefully. That's the problem.
What if...
Now he woke up and he's a freak.
What if yarn is actually alien?
It might be.
What if you've been making sweaters out of an alien this entire time?
Out of aliens? That's my secret.
They're all going to take over the world, all these sweaters now.
They're going to come alive when you're wearing
strangle
them.
everybody.
Right.
That's why I don't wear sweaters.
Fair.
I
that
know
is
the
a fair
truth.
fear. Yeah. It's out there, huh? Okay, so what was happening? Sarah
hitting dicks and
hitting him in the crotch. Then I wrote it's all slapsticky, right? It's just like jokes about how she can't see. And then he takes her to the dump. Well, actually, I write cops check out the crime scene while eating some tacos.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Like, they cut back to the cops a bunch of times. It's like nothing necessarily important. It's just showing that like the mayor and this head Nazi cop are like, kind of worried about whatever. In the movie, that they just refer to him as the monster.
Yeah.
Because they did not have the title by the time they finished filming yet.
That's so funny.
Which is why like all the shirts are like I heart the monster hero.
Yeah.
And stuff. So,
I love that.
But there's just like numerous times they just cut back to him and it's just they'd be like, oh, we got to do something about this monster everyone's talking about.
Yeah, so this is the scene where they're like checking out the restaurant and there's like all these people horribly gored and all of the officers are just eating tacos.
I mean, yeah, it was a Mexican restaurant. What are we supposed to do? I don't
Fair.
know why they have a pizza oven, but...
Well, Mexican pizza. Cafeteria delight.
Just a full fucking pizza oven for like one dish.
I love it.
Apparently that place was just called The Mexican Place in
That's
real
what
life.
The signs.
I know.
Yeah.
That was like the actual name of the restaurant. So, I mean, hey. Easy. You know what you're getting. It's good branding.
True. Fair. So then there's a town hall meeting where some professor guy basically explains to all the townspeople exactly what we already know, basically about how the monster has like an inane
it's so stupid. Just like he has to, like he can't control himself. He has to.
He's attracted to evil. It's snuffing out evil essentially.
Why? Why this science?
I don't know. Yep, science is exactly.
It's just like why would he know this?
I don't know because I don't know. There's also like a drawing of the Toxic Avenger with like a diagram of his brain chemically altered or whatever, and I was like, what? Okay, because also like nobody knows really that it's Melvin, and nobody really knows like how it happened. Like I don't think.
That's the thing is like, like at no point has anyone been like, especially like the mom, been like, "Hey, where's my son?"
Right.
Last time I saw
Melvin's
him, he was
missing.
jerking off in the bathroom.
Yeah. Last time. Yeah. Well, exactly. So, and then also like any of the people that were at the prank, like nobody ever mentions him again. Essentially, I was like, all right. Okay, so back at the health club. Julia and Wanda are looking at the photos that they've taken of the people that they've hit with the cars and whatever. And basically the scene is just showing how there's corruption there, right? Because it's like them looking at the photos of the car like hitting victims or whatever. Then also like people selling and doing drugs, whatever. The fucking mayor guy is there, like eating sandwiches and getting massages from girls and stuff. And so Melvin shows up. This is where there's like the guy who is like either, I think he's doing and selling drugs. He like gets on a what even do you call that machine? Leg lifts?
I don't know. I've never been to a gym.
Well, I assumed Kit would know.
I don't remember what it was he was doing. The leg press?
It was a leg press, but instead of like but he was like laying on his stomach and on his face and like doing the leg lifts, like backwards.
Oh, yeah, just like leg curl.
Yeah,
Leg curl machine.
Yeah. So when the Toxic Avenger comes in, everyone's like screaming because of what he looks like, screaming and running away. But this guy's got his face pressed into the sweaty bench, so he doesn't see that, like, he doesn't notice that anything's happening. And until Melvin like turns him over and essentially like raises all of the weights above his head, and there's like a spike underneath that the weights are like on, and basically like guillotines him with it. Where
That's
like
why you don't go to the gym.
Yeah, it like literally like smashes off the top of his head, and he kind of like sits up, and only like half of his face is there, and it was extremely sick.
The mouth moving is so upsetting.
It was very upsetting and shocking, even though I had seen like Ice Cream Sundae blender face already or whatever. That for some reason was like the most shocking one to me. It still looks great. I think it was good. And especially because like we don't even know who this guy is really, so the fact that he had such like a graphic death like really shocked me. So he's in the gym, he kills that guy, right? And I think this is
this where he like kills, or maybe is this where he like maybe Wanda? He just like sets on the coals.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what her name was.
Like, which one
I think it was Wanda. She basically goes in the sauna, and this is like the kind of sauna where like they have a hot coal section where you like pour water over the hot coals, and that's what creates the steam versus like an electric one. So she's like in there, and he goes in and picks her up and puts her down on the hot coals and says, "Let this be a lesson to you, hot ass." And it like pans up really fast.
Her.
And this is the first time in the movie that we actually see his face. And I was just like so stunned by like this being the face reveal. I don't know why. I was like, I
understand why they do it in like a scene where he's like hurting somebody, but I kind of wish the face reveal was when like Sarah touches his face for the first time.
Right. That's what you would expect, right? Because she does touch his face, I think, maybe before this. Either way.
I can't remember if it's before or after.
I don't either. But anyways, I just was like, oh, well, I was kind of thinking maybe we weren't going to see his face, too. I was like, maybe they I don't know. Maybe they spent on the budget.
They ran out of budget.
And they were just like not going to show his face totally.
So funny if like that's what his body looked like, but then he just had like Melvin's regular face.
Stop.
No.
Yeah, right. He is being really crazy.
I'm allowed to talk.
You're insane. Mulder says otherwise. Okay. Just chill. We're almost done. He's kicking me in the face. That's not nice.
Don't tell him what to do.
Well, mister, he's so freaking cute. You're lucky that you're just lucky. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So we see his face for the first time at this point, and I was like, oh, okay.
Pretty handsome.
Very handsome, yes. Then after this, like, she is like screaming, obviously. She's getting her ass burned off by hot rocks and seeing his face for the first time. Hard cuts to him standing in the alley outside the health club, just like peeing a massive amount of chemicals. It's a lot of pee. It's so much pee.
Well, he's been holding it in this entire time.
Yeah.
That's like 4 days worth of pee.
That's true. He probably wasn't even sure if he could still pee, so I get it. So he's out. This is baffling to me. He's out in the alley peeing a river, and some guy pulls up in a car and is just like, hey man, this girl is 12 years old. Do you want to pay $12 for an hour with her or something like that? And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So he like gets out of the car with this girl, and of course Toxic Avenger is like, I'm not going to stand for this, and starts beating the guy up. And then and she's like, you lied to me. You said you were taking me to the David Bowie concert. This isn't David Bowie. And I was like, What is happening here?
Astute
actually?
observation.
Then she said she was 12, and like, there's no way she's actually 12, but I don't like the implication here. But of course, she starts beating him up.
It's a real like interesting move that like he gets in the limousine with her at the end of this scene. Where I'm like, I don't know if this is the like I feel like you could have shot this a different way so it doesn't look like he's about to like go on a date with this 12-year-old.
Right. So he beats like the original guy up, and then a bunch of other guys come up out of the limo, of course.
When like Cigarface and like a bunch of other people show, like Cigarface shows back up with like all of the bandages on his head.
Not yet. This was just like
this.
No, this was just like random guys that were like in the car with.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, like just
the guy.
A bunch of fucking like generic Italian-looking mobsters get out.
Yeah, of course they were in the car with the 12-year-old, I guess. So he beats them all up. It's fine. Then Martin saves a kid from Bozo running him over.
Melvin.
This is kind of just what I
Bozo
said.
dubbing him over.
Martin.
Yeah.
Interesting. This is kind of just like a montage of him saving people. So like, there's a kid. First of all, I'm not really sure why the kid's just sitting in the middle of the street. But Bozo's about to like run him over in the car.
Honestly,
and...
it's like once. Like, growing up in, like, that Ohio suburbs, that's what seems pretty normal to me.
Sitting in the middle. Okay, fair. In the 80s or whatever. This scene was kind of funny to me because he just, like, runs in the street and grabs the kid before Bozo can run over him, but, like, doesn't do anything to Bozo at this point. Because it's just, like, a montage. So it's, like, montage of him helping people. Like, he opens a jar of popcorn for somebody just like random shit.
Just like reaches through their window.
I was actually really more also intrigued by the idea that somebody had a glass jar full of Orville Redenbacher. I was like, what? Is that a thing?
Well, like, probably, because you gotta think, you could, well, is it popped already?
It was popped, yeah.
That I don't remember. I was thinking just like the kernels you could buy, like the plastic ones. I just assumed the 80s they'd be in glass for whatever reason, but...
I'm gonna look if this is real.
Need your popcorn now.
For some reason...
You don't want it to be stale.
I mean, that's fair, but I just didn't know that was a thing.
For some reason, that just seems like it would already be stale to me.
Unless it was like kettle corn. I don't know when kettle corn was invented. I'm not seeing any... I'm calling you out, Toxic Adventure. I don't see any pre-jarred Orville Redenbacher popped popcorn.
I mean, you gotta figure, like, I'm coming up with, like, not necessarily Orville Redenbacher, but, like, caramel popcorn and stuff like that in glass jars. So it could just be...
wait. Yeah, gourmet popcorn. Okay, I do see it. All right, okay. I fucking love caramel popcorn.
Yeah,
I love popcorn so much. Okay. Well, anyways, that was the highlight for me, that glass jar. She just was really stoked. Just like doing like random acts of kindness for people, essentially. This is when the mayor and his other like corrupt friends are basically just like, okay, we have to fucking kill this guy before he catches us. Because he's going after, like, all the bad people, and we're definitely next, right? Let's figure this out. Now there's a montage of Melvin and Sarah, like, doing stuff. She makes him 24 eggs for breakfast. Then they're, like, going on walks together. This is when he takes her back to the dump, and she decorates by, like, hanging up curtains. This is where I think there's a goof that says, during the love montage, there's a scene where Toxie jokingly puts a pylon on his head and Sarah laughs. Sarah's character is blind. Okay, great. What a goof. And it's basically just like showing that, like, even though she does eventually touch his face and she's like, oh, you're so handsome. And it's basically just showing that, like, she loves him for who he is, right? That old thing. That old trope. They just basically goof around. They have a goof around. So back at the health club, basically Toxie shows up again. This time he goes after Julie. And there's like this really, really long scene of him basically like chasing her through. This is probably the Marissa Tomei where she comes out.
I can't remember.
And like,
I feel like that was at the beginning, but it could be this. I don't remember. I don't know if I've ever specifically seen her in it. I just know she is in it.
yeah, because there's like he like approaches Julie and she screams, and then like there's like other girls in the locker room, and he's like, "Oh, sorry to like whatever." Anyways, he like chases her through the thing and like chases her down to the basements of the gym, and then he like it basically he like raises his hand. He's got scissors in his hand, and then it like cuts away, which to me was like confusing because she doesn't ever show up again, so he obviously killed her. I'm wondering, I guess, if it just was a budget issue at that point.
I can't remember. I'm sure he talks about it, but I don't specifically remember. Or like maybe just the effect turned out bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought at first, because it hard cuts to Bozo like yelling on the street as he does, "Can you stop? You're psycho." You're being crazy. So I thought maybe he just like cut her hair and she was like ugly or something, you know, quote unquote ugly or something, but I don't think that's what happened.
That'd be so funny.
And for you, a haircut. It's because we never see her again, so obviously she's dead, right? So Bozo and Slug are on the street, and he's like freaking out because Julie hasn't showed up yet, and he wants to go hit people with his car, of course. And Slug is like, "Wow, would it cheer you up to drive a Japanese import? Some older lady has just pulled up on the side of the street with her groceries." And they go over there and they're like, "Oh man, can I help you?" And she's like, "Oh, thanks." And then Bozo just fucking punches her in the stomach and beats her up behind her car. Excuse me, what the fuck? So they steal the car. Pretty immediately, Melvin is on top of the car that they just stole, and they're speeding around, and he throws Slug out of the car, which I assume kills him because again we don't ever see him again, and he basically terrorizes Bozo for a really long scene where he's like basically trying to get him to like apologize for all the harm he's caused. But while this is happening, he's like grabbing the wheel and choking him out and stuff. They're causing more accidents. They're like knocking people off of awnings. They're like they caused another car to flip over, and I was just like, "Sir, you're kind of like helping him hurt people still, as you're trying to get him to like, I don't know, repent for what he's done." Anyways, it culminates into them driving off a cliff, and then the car catches on fire. Bozo is definitely dead, but Melvin just walks out of the car unscathed, of course. Mm-hmm. Then there's this like random scene where there's like a woman and a guy at a laundromat, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I'll help you in a second, miss," and he goes outside, and then Melvin like chases the woman around and puts her in like a washer and dryer, and then like presses her in like a pressing machine. And it seemed really random. And so then the newspapers kind of like turn on him, and they're like, "Oh, toxic monster hero kills innocent woman." And this is when he starts having kind of like a crisis where he's just like, "We need to go somewhere, Sarah. Like, I can't control myself. I don't know what happened. Like, whatever." And the mayor basically behind the scenes finds out that the lady was actually like a secret head of like a white supremacist slavery ring or something. And they're like, "Oh, so like she wasn't actually innocent. She was terrible."
Yeah,
but
it's
like
just gives them the excuse to be like, "We have to go after this monster.
We have to go kill him.
Now killing random people."
Exactly. And he also doesn't know either, because like all of the other stuff he's like physically witnessed the people committing crimes or like whatever, and this was just like a lady in a laundromat, so he's like confused at this point too. So this is when he's like, "We just need to," and Sarah's like, "Oh, why don't we just like run away together? Like we'll just like go somewhere where we can like why don't we go to this like sir, why don't we go to this spot where you said it was like you would go to think and like chill out or whatever." And so they go to this park. Some random cops end up seeing them in the park, and they call the mayor. They're like, oh, we found him, we found the monster. So the mayor calls the governor and is like, hey, we found the monster, like we gotta get him. Like, why don't we, oh yeah, call the National Guard. I was hoping you would say that so we can kill him. And he's like, oh, we're just gonna capture him? Okay, whatever, it's fine. So they like call the National Guard and oh, you know what? I guess I didn't write down the scene where Cigar Face comes back, so maybe it was Cigar Face.
No, I maybe it happened. I can't remember, but I know there's just because there's a scene where when Cigar Face shows back up, where they all circle him, and he jumps as they all shoot, and they all end up shooting each other.
Yeah, I get somehow I like completely either missed reading it or didn't write it down. Whatever. That happens, just so you know.
Yeah.
So, the yes. So essentially there's like this scene of the National Guard, you know, like in typical in these movies where the National Guard and the army or whatever is rolling through the streets of the neighborhood and all of the pedestrians, like all the civilians are like wearing like I love the monster t-shirts and they're like, no, like this is terrible. Like he's a hero, he's helping us, like we don't want the National Guard to hurt him or whatever. And so they're like following the National Guard to like where they've found the Toxic Avenger, right? This is when I said the mom randomly shows up and is like, no, that's my son. She's wearing like full American flag outfit also. Yeah. And she's like, no, that's my son. You can't hurt him or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And the National Guard starts like surrounding the tent and are like, come on out. We know that you're in there. And so he essentially comes out and is like, Sarah, stay in here. And she's like, no, I'm coming with you. And she gets out also. And they're basically, the mayor is like not going to honor just capturing him or whatever, right? Like he just wants him dead, so he's going to shoot him. But all of the civilians, like the kids and stuff, come and stand in front of him to like protect him. And the mom is basically just like, if you want to get to him, you're going to have to shoot me first, creating like a human shield around him, basically. And then Melvin's like, okay, everybody, like, step aside. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me, essentially, and starts like walking towards the mayor. And the mayor starts shooting him, but it's like not really working. And then he basically like corners the mayor and is like, I don't know, like you're a piece of shit or whatever.
He says,
and
hey, you fat slob, let's see if you have some guts.
There you go. And he literally like punches his guts out.
Amazing.
I love that the mayor tries to cram that back in.
I mean, you got what else can you do? So after that, everybody starts cheering and they're happy, and this is when
you get a Rocky moment of like Sarah and Melvin yelling for each other in the crowd.
Right, and that's when I wrote, oh, her name's Sarah. This is literally the first time that I found out her name was Sarah.
I think they say it before that.
They might. I don't know. So he's like, Sarah, and she's like, Melvin, or whatever, and they like meet up, and then they like walk together while the crowd stands around and claps for them.
It's funny, because Lloyd Kaufman was in Rocky.
Oh, okay. I get it. And then basically the narrator is just like, if you're in trouble, you might find the Toxic Avenger. And then that's the end.
Banger.
Slaps.
Now, release the remake. So,
yeah,
just let us see it. Fuck everyone else.
Yeah, send it to me.
I mean, why not? What do you have to lose?
It's so baffling. They're just like, this is unwatchable. Just put it on fucking Tubi. Who cares?
Right?
Alright. I didn't really look at any news. I don't think there was anything. So apparently James Earl Jones died while we've been recording.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Avenger killed him.
Oh no! Wow.
I mean, he was like 93. So.
Okay, fair. You know what? I had like the Toxic Avenger like IMDb up, and I just refreshed it, and it's literally the very first news. Oh, not Mufasa. Terrible.
Luckily, we could hear his voice in a billion Star Wars movies because I think he gave him the rights to use his voice in like
Forever.
perpetuity.
Yeah. Wow.
Kit, you want to talk about trailer for Smile 2?
Oh my god, no.
That's okay. I'm fine.
I haven't gone to see a movie this week, so I haven't had to sit through it again yet.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything really interesting news-wise. Katie, what have you watched in the last who knows how many weeks?
You know, not surprisingly, not a lot. I think after the Omen movies,
You just decided
I've
watched all of cinema. Why bother continuing?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I just said that's it. I watched a lot of rewatched a lot of comfort movies like The Craft and stuff like that. I did rewatch The Sixth Sense for the first time. When did that come out? 1999. I saw it in theaters when it first came out, and then I watched it like one other time. So it's been like 15 years since I've watched it. So I rewatched it. I still enjoyed it. I think I did one of those things now where I kind of looked for the hidden signs or whatever, because once you know what's going on in it, you know what's going on with it. Then I also watched what the frick?
What's happening?
Okay. You know what I did watch? Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It was okay. It was fine. I think I gave it a 2.5. It was fine. It wasn't the worst, but I wouldn't be telling people to go watch it. There were parts of it that I thought were funny. I liked the main guy. Some of the people in the movie, the acting was really bad, and of course, because of the nature of Blue Beetle, it was heavily CGI, and I think the budget just wasn't there for it, because it came out last year and it already looks pretty bad, but it was fine.
To be fair, all of those DC movies and
That's
whole
what I'm
thing
saying.
look like
Yeah.
shit.
I will say, not the worst DC movie that I've seen. To be very fair, there were still parts of it that were pretty fun.
That was the Flash.
And I like Blue Beetle as a character, so and then I watched that new movie, The Watchers. It's not great.
I don't even know what that is.
It's M. Night Shyamalan's daughter directed it.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was based off of a book that the book did pretty well, and I actually started reading it and then was I'm not interested at all. I don't know why I thought I would like the movie, but it was just very blah. I didn't like the twist. I saw the I don't want to harp on the twist. The twist was predictable and also stupid. So it was shot it's set in Ireland, so visually the area was really pretty and stuff, but it just didn't really do anything for me. And that might be it. I haven't seen Alien yet. I am not gonna see Beetlejuice. So that's pretty much it for me.
Is
Hooch forging in fire over there?
That's what it sounds like.
He's eating. He didn't eat his breakfast this morning, so it's been sitting there. So now he's having.
Now he's oh yeah.
Yeah. So his collar's clanging against his metal bowl.
I like to assume he's making a sword.
That's what. Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
What'd you watch, Kit?
Nothing.
Hell yeah.
Nothing at all.
That's the way to be.
I don't know that I even watched any TV really.
You're just waiting to
boring
buy
week.
Whatever that fucking video game is you bought.
Oh yeah, Space Marine.
Let's see. I watched Cat City from 1986, which is another Hungarian animated thing Deaf Crocodile put out. What the hell?
He likes it. Mulder likes it.
Christ.
Listen, if you don't listen to our podcast for the noises of animals, I just don't know what to tell you at this point.
Yeah, Hooch and Mulder have taken over now.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd have to lock Tenebrae out of the room. He just steps all over my keyboard.
I heard somebody over there meow at one point.
No, not from.
It must have been you.
Yeah, it was probably just me.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I also watched China O'Brien 1 and 2. The
Hell yeah.
Cynthia Rothrock movies. They're pretty good. They're fun. They're not the best movies of hers I've seen, but they had that real 2 a.m. on USA Up All Night feel to it that I enjoyed.
Perfect.
And then I started.
I mean, nothing's ever gonna top Righting Wrongs.
Oh my god, fucking insane! No, they're fun. They're I think they're Golden Harvest movies, but they're clearly American made, made specifically for the American market as opposed to the Asian market. So the martial arts in it are a little worse than they probably would have been, but totally fun. And then I watched the Chinese torture chamber story, which was a banger.
Well, I saw that when you logged it on Letterboxd, and the cover looked so cool.
It's I think they're Cat 3 movies, and it's this really interesting setup of I forget what time period it's supposed to be, and it's clearly 1600s type of fucking setting.
Right.
But it's this couple being questioned by this judge about this murder or something that happened that they did not commit, but the judge's son, I think, committed, and so he's blaming them, and he's using all these forms of torture on them to get them to confess. I don't know, it was really good. And I'm excited to dive into the sequel to it. I think that's pretty much it. Just what the fuck?
Chill out, sir.
All right, Katie, what do you want to shout out?
Let's see. I didn't really watch anything, but I read 7 books. So I will recommend a book I read called The Unmothers by Leslie J. Anderson. And it is kind of like a folk horror about a reporter who goes to investigate a small town where supposedly a horse gave birth to a human baby. And that's all I'm going to say. It was really good. So my reading goal for this year was 35 books, and I just reached it a couple days ago. So I've read a lot of stuff that was I don't know, not super great. And this one has stood out to me because I thought the writing was just really, really nice. I liked all the main character. I liked the main character, which is kind of, I don't know. I feel like main character, give or take, or whatever. And then I also, so it's pretty heavy on stuff you would assume that goes along with something called The Unmothers. So if you're in for a sad time, that's the recommendation. If you want something that's kind of just more lighthearted and weird, I also read one called This Delicious Death by Kayla Cunningham. And it's about a group of girls who go to a music festival, but it's after a virus happened where it turned a bunch of people into zombies, and some people are passing and some are, and this, that, and the other thing. And it's kind of more a fun, I hear you, sir, I hear you. It's kind of I don't know, a lighter read, but was still super fun. So those are my 2 recommendations.
All right, what about you, Kit?
I'm gonna recommend, shout out AEW's All Out, which is a pay-per-view that was so violent it has people fucking losing their goddamn minds. It's so annoying.
I saw all these people complaining about it, and I was like, you could not have handled the 90s.
Yeah, right?
ECW would fucking have you fucking killing yourself, apparently.
Yeah, they suffocated a man with a paper bag or a plastic bag. Okay, I mean, he didn't really die, so what? Right. What was the difference between that and a movie?
Can you imagine any of them watching a New Jack?
Oh my god!
The fucking match.
Can you imagine the mass transit incident.
Or like when he threw that guy off the fucking scaffolding and tried to kill him, like for real.
Right?
Um
Shit rocked. Go watch Swerve vs. Hangman.
Yeah, go watch that dude get that fucking syringe jammed through his cheek.
Yeah, power bombed onto a cinder block.
Yeah, that
Oh my
looked
God.
fucking terrible.
Oh man.
I think my shout out. Shout Factory has a box set coming out called Golden Harvest Volume 1 Supernatural Shockers.
Ooh.
That looks super sick. It's I think 6 Cat 3 movies in it. The Sex and Zen, Erotic, Ghost Story 1 through 3, Dr. Vampire, and Robotrix. I'm very excited for it. I have Sex and Zen, Erotic Ghost Story 1 and 2, and Robotrix are all bangers, so I'm excited to see the rest of them. Hopefully it's good, because Shout Factory kind of hit or miss sometimes. So,
Yeah.
we'll see. All like the movies are going to be bangers, but Shout Factory, sometimes their bonus shit is kind of lame. But we'll see. I'm excited to see how this box set comes out. Alright. I don't think we've talked about next week yet, so surprise.
Hell yeah.
Actually, fuck it.
Surprise month.
If we're all available, we're doing Vampire Time Travelers. The kid and I talked about
deal.
doing with
I'm in.
we were like, well, I don't know who, like, if Katie's around, like, if we're all three able to record, we'll do Toxic Avenger, and if not, Kit and I were going to do this movie called Vampire Time Travelers, so we're doing that next week, and then we're going to do Weird Little Guy.
You're welcome,
movies for
Katie.
a while.
Weird little guys. Weird little guys.
I've had Vampire Time Travelers on my watch list forever, and then, like, just randomly hit Tubi, so I want to take
I was
advantage
gonna
while
say,
it's there.
I'm assuming it's Tubi.
Yeah, always. The only good streaming service.
I mean, pretty much. For anyone who's interested, they recently added all the seasons of the Beetlejuice cartoon. So I was
so fucking tired of hearing about Beetlejuice.
Listen, I'm not interested. I do not care about the new movie at all, but I loved that show so much when I was little, so I had that on. It's kind of, I feel, as an adult, a little hard to watch if you get overstimulated by things. However, the nostalgia was good for me, so I just like had it on in the background. But yeah.
Go watch Toxic Crusaders instead.
Oh, that's also on Tubi. So was me saying that Tubi is the best.
Yeah. All right. If you'd like to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/podcast. There's a bunch of bonus episodes on there. Go sign up.
Go get bonus.
Yeah. Go listen to us talk about how all of the Omen movies, except for kind of 2, are pretty boring.
There's a whole backlog of episodes of Hooch eating his dinner in the background.
Yeah. You can leave us a rating and review on iTunes and Spotify and all that shit. You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and Kitchification of Blood. You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace. Enjoy Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to my other podcast, Ain't Good Movie Club. 6 years talking about
Oh, wow.
some garbage. Only took us 6 years to finally cover Butt Crack. A good movie.
Crazy.
6 years is an insane time.
You know how many?
I feel like it was just like 2 years.
Yeah. It's 472 movies we've talked about.
Woof.
It's not counting like stuff that's just like TV shows and shit, like when we did Tales from the Crypt and the fucking that Day of the Dead fucking TV show and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
stuff that's just like not on Letterboxd. Best movie we ever did? Morbius.
Definitely. For sure.
Definitely. I'm just trying to see if there's. I'm gonna stick with The Void or Alien. Alien, pretty good. I don't know if anyone's seen Alien. The movie's pretty good.
Yeah, y'all heard of this?
Yeah.
I've
Sharks
barely
in the
heard of
Corn.
Oh, woof. Yeah. I think for me,
Oh, zombie.
Oh man,
I
forgot
Shane,
think
even
it's like,
existed.
Shane actually like recently, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, was like, Nathan, have you seen Oh Zombie? I'm gonna go watch it, and I was like, don't.
yeah. I think surprisingly, there's a lot of movies that we've done that I've just completely blocked out, and I'll like find a notebook, and I'm like, what even was this?
What the fuck
Like
was this?
Brontosaurus Rex.
Did
Yep,
I
forgot
watch
that.
that? Oh my God,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did. We did that
Okay,
with
yeah.
Dylan for an episode, I think.
I do remember that. Um, so, at least there's that. I've come to the point where I can just start blocking a bunch of it out. Oh, oh my God, you know what I have started watching? But it's not all out yet, so I just like wasn't going to talk about it. I watched a bunch of documentaries too. Was that Chimp Crazy show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to watch that.
Holy
No,
shit.
thank you.
Holy shit. Oh, that's all I'm going to say. You know what?
Is
And I
it
didn't.
crazier than Tiger King?
So I actually did not know this about this documentary until I started watching it, that it is made by the people who made. Yeah, I know. It is. He doesn't eat dinner for like 3 more hours, so I don't know what he's going on about. It is made by the people who made Tiger King. So it gets wackier, but it's not to me as sensational as Tiger King, just because you're dealing with like less people,
I just
Like,
like I heard like
you're fine.
some podcasts talking about like that show being announced, and then them just being like, if you thought Tiger King was crazy, like we're about to up the ante, and I was like, I doubt it.
No, I think that it is sensational in a different way, because like the first episode essentially goes through kind of like the history of like people and chimps. How like early on, not that this was super common, but people did just have like chimps and other monkeys as pets, specifically chimps like in their house. And it was like such a big thing in America for a while. And so I think, to me, it's like crazier because people do have exotic pets, right? But people don't just like have tigers, full-grown tigers in their house typically. But like I do remember when monkeys were like a super big thing. So it's interesting in that way because I don't know. But no, I wouldn't say that it's crazier so far than Tiger King, but I think only 3 or 4 episodes are out so far.
Oh, that wasn't like a all at once.
Mm-mm.
It's
They're
annoying.
releasing them. I believe me, you don't gotta tell me. But if you're wanting something sensational to watch, and it just like fills me with such dread because, as you know, I'm already scared of monkeys. And so like the whole thing just like fills me with such dread because like I can't even imagine being somebody who like has one in their, you know what I mean? I don't know. Blech.
Hey,
I can't even think about it.
Katie, don't listen for a second. Kit, all of our
Okay.
weird little guy movies, this should be monkey movies.
No, no
Oh
monkeys.
yeah,
No monkeys.
monkey shines.
No monkeys.
I'm gonna pick Russell
Oh, he's
Mad.
passed
No, wait,
out
Russell
now.
Madness was the dog. Never mind. MVP 2.
Yeah, nice try.
MVP
No.
3. We're gonna do that one now.
Dunstan checks in.
Oh,
I
God.
think that's an orangutan, but
Are you not afraid of orangutans? Just monkeys?
I am. No, I'm afraid of all of them.
I was gonna say,
Orangutans.
like, how can you?
If there was like a hierarchy, I think orangutans would be lower than like a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are the scariest to me, and also like for some reason capuchin monkeys or whatever those monkeys from Outbreak are. That movie literally traumatized me as a child. Let's see. Outbreak monkeys. Oh, it's so scary looking at them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, white-headed capuchin monkey. I am terrified of them. Only because of that movie, though. Chimpanzees, I'm legitimately scared of. Orangutans, I'm sure I would be scared of, but for some reason, they're not as scary looking to me.
We should do all the Planet of the Apes movies.
I think that's okay. I think I'm good.
That'll be the next franchise watch. All fucking 300 of those goddamn movies.
400, yeah.
Like, I don't
That's
know.
alright.
This is one where apes rise up, I guess. This one, all of the apes are attacking people, be like all of them.
Yeah, I
haven't seen any of the new ones though. I've heard they're pretty good.
Are they not like ape people though?
Well, the newer ones,
them?
because they're all like CGI, they're like they just look like regular apes, but like the original ones,
they're just monkeys.
Clearly just people in fake masks and shit.
Right. No thanks.
All right, next week, Planet of the Apes. But
next week
we're just gonna watch the episode of The Simpsons with Troy McClure's in the Planet of the Apes musical.
That's fine.
So I can sing Dr. Zaius.
Okay.
All right, Vampire Time Travelers next week. It's gonna be a banger.
All right.
I can tell.
Hell yeah.
Because the tagline is "Bite her in the butt."
Oh no!
So you know it's gonna rock, and it's only 65 minutes. So.
All right, I can get with that.
It's gonna be so good. I have high hopes this movie's gonna rock. All right, yeah, we're gonna do that next week. I don't know why you've listened to us for 6 years, but thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
Aw, yeah.
That's a lot of us talking about presidential bang bus. Fucking whatever dumb bullshit we're always talking about.
It is an election year.
Yeah.
Time to bring it back.
Joe Biden about to retire and have to go live on that bang bus.
Yeah.
Joe banging.
That's right.
It's Jover for somebody. Who's still alive? Clinton's still alive. Obama's still alive. I guess W's still alive.
Trump.
Isn't like Jimmy Carter one of them still alive?
I think
Probably.
so.
Oh man.
Joe Biden sounding like a very lively bus.
I don't know. I bet it's gonna be pretty hot.
Joe Biden, Jimmy Carter, dual hand job.
Man, just 69 in each other. All right. I hope you jerk off to that idea, Jimmy Carter, Joe Biden.
No.
Just go to town on each other. Gotta get that mop ready.
Ew.
All right. Goodbye.